Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the online info session, Mobility to Your Office Park, the Pegasus Park. This online info session will be recorded and all questions will be handled in the chat by our moderator. We will discuss these questions at the end of the seminar in the Q&A. Online info session is an organization of the New Mobility Network in collaboration with Tribeca Capital Partners, the park management of Pegasus Park. What is the New Mobility Network all about? It's a network of companies that lie along the Brussel Ring Road and that work together to achieve a future-oriented mobility. If you become part of the mobility network, it's a free membership, but you engage for a future-proof mobility. You can get information about the works on the ring roads. You can get tailor-made coaching for your company, about which we will tell you more further on. We also organize workshops and webinars, and there's an annual event. Here you can find the program of today's session. Our session aims for all the companies that are on the Pegasus Park, but also companies in the surrounding area are welcome. I will later on pass the word to Sarah Plasky, Asset Manager of Tribeca Capital Partners. Afterwards, Alain Cox, Technical Project Leader of the Werkvernootschap, will give an overview of the works in the area of the Pegasus Park. Further on, I will talk about the coaching trajectory that you can apply for. And then at the end, we have some questions and answers. I now pass the word on to Sarah.
Hello, I am Sarah Plasky from Tribeca Capital Partners, and we represent the owner of Pegasus Park. We believe it's important that our companies are well informed and take the necessary actions in the field of mobility, because there is now today a lot ongoing in and around Pegasus Park. Work on the bicycle highway route between Leuven and Brussels along the railway line have started, and this is just one of the many interventions planned to improve accessibility by bicycle and public transport. We therefore wanted to organize this information session with the Werkvernootschap and the Mobi coaches, so that our companies are aware of both the opportunities and the possible temporary nuisance. As park managers, we are also there to organize collaboration around shared challenges. During this online information session, you will get an idea of what these mobility works mean for you and your employees in Pegasus Park. And in addition, you will become familiar with the Mobi coaches of the New Mobility Network, on who you can rely for a coaching project on future-oriented mobility. Alain Cox, Technical Project Manager of the Werkvernootschap, will explain the planned works in detail. Alain, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello everybody. As Sarah already announced, I am Alain Cox, Technical Project Manager of the Werkvernootschap. The Werkvernootschap entity who is created to achieve the reorganization of the R0, including all the things around it. What I try to explain to you, what I'll try to tell you now in a few minutes, is about the projects we plan to build, or building as we speak, for the next years. This is a simple overview of the different projects that we are planning to do. Maybe you can see the R0, the northern part of it, and all around these red spots, that's all around the site of Pegasus Park. Okay, so a quick overview of the different projects. The first one is the one that is already in progress, right in front of your doorstep actually. It's the HST project, bicycle highway along the railway roads from Leuven up to Brussels. What is it about? A bicycle highway, so really a highway for bikers to do large distances in a short time, in a short period. The main thing is there is already a route, a bicycle highway along this railway road. The one we are talking about is a missing link actually, crossing the R0 and passing the A201 to continue your road up to Brussels. So the thing is, we want to avoid with this project the route they need to take now. As you can see in the spot here in the slide, the blue route is what they have to do now. It's a distance of 4.4 kilometers they have to do now, instead of the 2 kilometers we are trying to achieve with this project. Connecting Pegasus Business Park, Da Vinci, and further on, of course, Leuven, but also, and you will see it in the next projects, also connections to the airport of Brussels and other hotspots. So the green line you see is the one that's about the project we are trying to build now, or we are doing this. What's the progress? The constructor is basics that started in August, last August, building the pylons, the piles on the R0 who will support the bridge over the R0. That's what they are already built. The total project zone was that green line I just mentioned, and the building period will be up to August next year. That's what we were trying to achieve. What's happening right now? Utility companies are doing their works in the Kleedlaan, the Mommaertslaan, and at the same time, our main constructor is building the Surrey, building these piles, as I mentioned, and the bridge and all the other stuff up to August next year. That's the plan about this project. In achieving this modal shift, what it's all about, to make sure bikers can easily pass the R0 and the A201. Here you can see some images of the bridge over the R0. This image give you a viewpoint from the outside of the R0 looking up to Pegasus Park. You can see the R0, and let's say the red line is the new bridge we are building next to the railway road, as you can see, up to Pegasus and further on to Diegem station and further. That was the first one, a quickie. As I said, already in progress. The next one is along the Woluwelaan, the R22, for the ringtrambus. What is necessary to mention is that we want to focus not only on making the road, the R0, better for just vehicles and trucks, but we are the thing is we want to improve public transport and bicycle paths. What I'm now talking about is about the three major projects we have to accomplish about Brabantnet. The first one, the green one, is the sneltram, as we call it, which gives us a connection with the tram from Willebroek, actually, let's say the southern part of Antwerp, up to Brussels. That's the first of the 3 major projects concerning public transport. Then we have the Luchthaventram. I'll talk about it in a couple of slides as another project. And then the Ringtrambus. The Ringtrambus, as you can see in the image on your right, the red one is a connection along the R0 from the hospital in Jette, along Vilvoorde up to Brussels Airport. What I'm talking about now is that last one, the Ringtrambus in Diegem, close Pegasus Park. What you see here in this image is the R22. The part, orange part, the red part, and then again also the green part. What I'm trying to explain here is that on that R22, the orange part and the red part will be accomplished, will be built by a Flemish agency, AWV, and they will begin their works in October this year. So next month they start their project and will take a time of 2 years. The green part, that's our part from the Werkvennootschap. We did some checks whether we need to wait until AWV finish their job, or we can do it in the same time, concerning looking at the traffic that will be harder to find their way. The thing is that we start our works in next year. That's the point. Maybe the 2 other images are images how the R22 in our project will look like. The point is that it will be a separate lane for the public transport. That is quite important to know. Will be a separate lane for the public transport, and then the green area will be there will be a reduction, as you can see right down there, from what we have now are 2 lanes in each direction. And the plan is to reduce that to 1 lane in each direction, and then a separate lane for the public transport, and also a separate lane for the bikers. The third project is about also bicycle highway. As you can see, the red spot down here. It's next to the building of Toyota and the buildings of NATO, crossing the A201. What is the project about? It's also a missing link, actually. We are building, that's the plan, building a bridge over the A201 to make sure bikers and pedestrians can cross the A201 as a missing link. This image gives you an impression of the network. The network of all highways, bicycle highways actually, and important bicycle paths in the neighborhood of the Pegasus Park. And as you can see in the green spot down here, that's what we are talking about, that missing link. To come to a couple of impressions of how that bridge will look like. This one is an image, your viewpoint is from, let's say, the southern side of the A201, looking north and passing the A201, which you can see down here. It's quite a long bridge, 510 meters. It's quite a distance. Another view underneath the bridge. And this is what you will see in let's say in 1 year time, 1.5 years, when you are driving the A201 from Brussels up to the R0. What you can see already here is the image of the luchthaventram. Of course, we don't have that right now, but I'll mention it in a couple of slides, which is the element of another project. Of course, the bridge is now built, taken into account, of course, the building of the luchthaventram. What's the progress? The building permit is submitted in July, and we expect to obtain it, let's say, the beginning of next year. The tender phase with possible contractors is already ongoing, trying to start the project, let's say, in the first half of next year. Depends on what works the utility companies need to do concerning the obtaining of the building permits and so on. The building period is estimated for as 1 year. I have to mention that these periods, these timings depend on, as I said, utility companies and so on, but also the way the constructor is building his construction. This will be a part of the tender phase, and the different phases they will build these constructions are subject to approval. So this is not quite sure in what way, in what different phases the constructor will build this bridge. What's the impact on the Pegasus Park? In my opinion, not that terrible. But of course, during the positioning of the bridge over the A201, there will be some interruption of the A201, but that will be mostly during the weekends and during the nights. Okay, so next project will be the Henolaan. The Henolaan, okay, not that near of the Pegasus Park, but I guess that a lot of people working in the Pegasus Park and driving, let's say, eastwards of Flanders, of Belgium, looking to Leuven, they'll take this exit or access to the R0 to get to the Pegasus Park, or at the evening leave the Pegasus Park. So I think this project is also very important for you to know what we are doing there. Okay, so we look into the interchange of the Hector-Henolaan, which is in a bad condition at this very moment, with cracks and defects on the rebar and so on. We have, as you can see here, a couple of intersections which cause a traffic jam, as we know it right now in this moment. I think I don't even have to mention the possibility for bikers and pedestrians to cross this bridge. It's life-threatening to do that. So we are trying to improve this. And also for our public transport, it's quite important, as you see in the red mark. There are a lot of buses using the Hector-Henolaan to get to Pegasus Park or the other sites along Zaventem. Okay, so what you see here, that's what we have now. As you can see, there are different roads, exits to the Hector-Henolaan. Quite complex as we see it from above, and this is what we're trying to build starting from next year. As you can see in this image, you have on the western side of the R0 a lot of space now for nature and for water. Also on the other side, trying to obtain, to keep every connection as it is right now. In the other image, as we see here, the, let's say, red brownish line crossing the image, that's for the bikers. Pedestrians as well, they have a free, separate lane, as you can see from the traffic. It's not very clear on this image, but it has to be clear that in each direction, up to Zaventem and back, there will be a separate lane for public transport as well. And the lanes we have for cars and vehicles and trucks, as we have now at this very moment, they will be again in this design. The difficulty in this project was that, as you know, in a couple of years, as we hope, of course, we will work on the R0, and of course this bridge has to be built according to the different designs we have now for the R0. What is also important to mention is what you see on the outside of the new constructions. This green element is a green connection, an eco connection from the inside of the R0 to the outside. Elements that we find very important in the whole project of the R0 to create, as we mentioned here, ecological connections. Okay, another image of the present situation and what we are building or planning to build starting from next year. The bicycle path in between the green elements, which should be a bit more easy and according to the livability should be improved. Right, now what's the situation at this very moment? Also the building permit is submitted in July, and we think to obtain it in the beginning of next year. Tendering is already in progress. We think we have, normally we have a contractor, let's say next month, which means that the moment we have our building permit, we can close the contract with the contractor, so we can start in, let's say, April, maybe May next year. The duration of the project is 3 years. Okay, what's the impact on the Pegasus? Well, there will be one period, a longer period of 110 days max, that there will be no access to the inner side of the R0. There are some deviations, detours we found, and those two will be in place in this period. Next to this period of 110 days, of course, there will be some traffic problem, maybe, let's hope not, with narrowed lanes on the R0, still 3 lanes in each direction for quite some time. And of course, some interruptions during the nights and weekends when we as well demolish the existing bridge and building the new bridges. The next project I will look into is the connection not on your doorstep as the HST was, but this one is in your garden as we speak. It's a connection of the R0 with the A201. Now, what is it about? It's not only, as we can see on this image, the creation of a new connection, as we mentioned it here, as a single point interchange. The next slide will give you an overview, will give you an insight of how it looks like, such an SPI. It's not only the work on the interchange. It is also a complete face over, let's say, of the A201 up to the airport, up to the R0, let's say, until Diegem and Diegem Low at the northern part. Trying to improve a multimodal access to the airport with the public transport. The ring trambus will pass in this area, and also the Luchthaven tram will pass up this place to the Da Vinci site. Guaranteeing an access of traffic to the airport is also a goal we have to achieve, and creating a bit more space again of these ecological elements we need to take into account. Okay, this is the image of the situation we have now, and this gives you a simple insight of what we are planning to build. Trying to explain this image, which will be the first SPE, single point interchange, built in Belgium. You can find on YouTube, wherever you want, examples of this interchange already built in America, for example. And what is it? The interchange, as we know, we call it Dutch complex, is also the exit of the outside of the R0 and the access to the outside, connecting to the A201 at one spot, and another spot, another connection on the inside of the R0. Two traffic lights communicating with each other, because otherwise it will be a terrible mess concerning the traffic. What we do is bring those two traffic lights together to one. That's what you do. That's what we have here. One traffic light right above the R0, which improves, in our opinion, all the traffic flows, the important ones, up to the airport, up to the NATO and the northern part of Brussels, and the access to the R0. What you also see here is this orange and red line is the connection of the Luchthaven tram, the Woluwe, the river along this area, which is now underground. The connection with the ringtrambus, bicycle paths, and what is very important, right here in the corner, in the upper corner, is the connection with the roundabout, Strabit, as we know it, which we have to improve as well. It'll be a PPP project, a public-private partnership we will do, which means that a contractor has to build it in, as I mentioned here, in 4 years' time, estimated, and then do the maintenance for the next 30 years. The tender phase is already in progress. Will be quite taken quite some time, as you can see, and trying to end in the first quarter of 22, trying to get then a contract close and a financial close, so the contractor can begin, let's say, in the third quarter of 22. The building permit will be is planned to obtain in next year. And as I mentioned, okay, we estimate that these works will take quite some time, some 4 years, but it'll be one of the elements for the contractor to look into a way of building all this and look that all connections will be in place during the whole building period. Okay, that's the impact of the Pegasus. It's quite difficult to know at this very moment, because we are just in the beginning of the project, in the beginning of the tender phase, so that's quite difficult to estimate what the possible impact is. The goal is to make it as minimum as possible, of course. Okay, next project will be Luchthaventram and Leopoldtrina, the A201, as I already mentioned. Again, concerning these three major projects on public transport. It's the blue one now, the Luchthaventram. As I already said, multimodal, trying to get the public transport up to the airport, the connection, airport business center, up to NATO and Brussels North. Having some safe crossings for cyclists and pedestrians, and a complete makeover of the A201, which will be, as you see in the coming slide, completely different from what we have now. They just told me I have some 4 minutes left, so I have to fasten up a bit, I guess. This is an image of all public transport we have in this area of Pegasus Park. And as you can see, the black line is railway. This one is the Luchthaventram, and so on. And the light blue are the buses. Bicycle path. And this is motorized vehicles. To conclude, all these things together have to be a multimodal access and interaction on the A201. The image on your left is an image on the Grensstraat and the connection to the A201. And here, this may be a difficult image on your left. As you can see, maybe still, I think, 2 lanes in each direction. On the southern side, the separate lane for the Luchthaventram, and also separate parts for the bicycles and the bikers. What is important to mention is that the speed limit of the A201 will be reduced to 70 kilometers an hour, starting from the airport up to Brussels. In Brussels, as you know, it is already even 50 and 70 kilometers an hour. This is also an image of all the projects we are planning to do in that area. And what's the timing about this one? Let's say project-wise, projectnota, whatever it means, try to achieve it still this year. Again, building permit will be next year, tendering phase, planning to begin these works in 2023, taking quite some time, as I estimate, let's say about 2 or 3 years time to build the Luchthaventram and the makeover, as I said, of the A201. Well, I think that was a very quick an overview of the different projects we plan in the next couple of years. As I said in the beginning, I didn't mention anything about the R0, which is the major project, of course, but that process is ongoing in the next few years. Right, I think I can conclude my presentation and go back to Trace, I guess. And as she said, the Q&As will follow up. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Alain, for the presentation. I hope this gave to all participants a better view on how these roadworks will affect the accessibility of your site and also the new possibilities for mobility for your staff. In any case, to be well prepared for the future infrastructure, you can apply for coaching from the Mobi coaches of the New Mobility Network. I gladly present them to you. me and my colleagues Delphine Eekhout and Freya de Munk are the 3 Mobi coaches that are at your service. And we are convinced that a good mobility plan should take into account 4 building blocks. So first we will have a look how we can avoid trips. For example, today in this online info session, at this moment we are avoiding trips. Then afterwards we will have a look at the trips that are still necessary, how we can make them more sustainable. For example, whom of the staff has potential to go by bike to the work, or for whom is the public transport interesting. Then afterwards, where the car is necessary, we will have a look how that we can make the trips greener. This can be by using electric cars, but also we can have a look at smaller or cars that need less gasoline. And then in the entire plan, of course, we take into account the traffic safety. Some of the people participating in this online info session are already using our coaching, but for the others, I would like to invite you to send us an email after this online info session, and you can do this on mobicoach@newmobilitynetwork.be. The first thing we will do is find a date with you to have a short call or a meeting live to get to know each other better, and to ask what your company really needs in the regarding mobility. Then when you like to apply for the coaching track, the first step is to have an intake with a steering group. So in this steering group are mostly involved someone from human resources, from fleet, from facilities, to have different perspectives and expertise regarding the mobility of the company. Then we will have a look on your mobility policy, and we will also launch a survey towards the staff. This will give us a view of how they come to work, and also their willingness to change their mobility habits. After this, we will have a first presentation in which we present the insights of this mobility analysis. This is also a moment in which we can discuss with you the interpretations of our findings. Then we will draft an action plan, and this results in a second presentation that is also ready to use for you, for example, towards a management meeting. And then as a last step of this process, there are 2 days that you can freely use the expertise. For example, you can choose to do a workshop with some of the people of the staff, for example, salespeople who have specific needs, or we can help you to work out some implementations. Here I will give you some examples of this mobility analysis. We will, for example, give you a view on what the modal split of your staff is today, how do they come to the office, and also their future potential. Of course, in Corona, these are special times, and we are also there to reflect with you on how we can implement or draft a telework policy with you, for example. And this is, of course, part of the first building block that I mentioned, how to avoid trips. And this is also a view of one of our analyses, how we can measure the potential for each member of the staff to come to work. If you would like to read more about this topic, you can always visit the website of New Mobility Network, where you can already find some articles regarding telework and how to adapt your mobility policy in COVID times. And then we arrived at the Q&A. So we will first have some questions for Alain. And we will go to the first question in the chat, which is from Koen from Perspective. So I will read the question and then switch to Alain. So Koen asks, will the access to the buildings in the Kleedlaan, especially uphill towards number 5 and the Hive, remain accessible? Are utilities works also scheduled on this road, or is the installment of the cycling road, which has just been done, the main work that needed to be done?
Okay. I will have to admit first that I'm not into detail of all our projects. This particular project is followed by a colleague of mine, but that doesn't mean that the thing is about all projects is that the first goal is to have a maximum access of all buildings actually and owners along the Kleedlaan or whatever lane or road. So I would suppose that the access to your building will be in place during the whole period. If not, it can only be in short times. The works that have been done right now, I think it's a combination, as I remember from my colleague, a combination of our own works and these of the utility companies. But maybe I can have a quick switch to a colleague of ours who is Tom Buntings. Tom Buntings is a colleague of ours and is our direct link from between the works, all the different works we do, and even all participants, all the traffic, the different governments, companies along the project. He's getting all these information and trying to communicate in between those two actors. Maybe Tom, I can switch to you, and maybe you have a better insight of the planning of the project of the HST.
Yes, hello. Thank you, Alain. For the Werkgenootschap, I am the nuisance manager, and the project is followed by Jelle Verkouteren, project manager, and we all are already in close contact with Tribeca and Cobelpro, Sarah and Thierry. And we just came to inform them about the nuisance that will be projected for the Kleedlaan and the following 2 weeks. And the exit to the parking lot of building number 5, where the Hive is located, will be interrupted during one day when we pass there with the new sewerway. And that is planned on 22 of September. I think that Cobelpro will inform all tenants today or tomorrow morning about the planning of the interruption of each exit, because we just started beginning of this week, yesterday, with the sewer works in the Kleedlaan, and we are working uphill. So we first pass the entrance of the NH Hotel, and then we go upwards. And the 22nd of September, we will pass with the sewer through the access to building number 5. And we just block the access for just one day. In the evening, it will be accessible again. Then I think a few weeks later, when we pass with the new building of the streets, we also have one extra day of nuisance. That will mean that the exit will be not accessible during the day when we pass with the machines. But also that particular timing will be sent to you through Cobelpro and Tribeca.
Okay, and then we will go to the next question from Linda from EY. She writes that she heard that there is a project of cutting off the exit on the A201 direction Pegasus Park. What could mean that there's only an access to the Pegasus Park coming from the Woluwelaan. Is this correct? And if yes, is there any timing?
I think it is correct that there will be some changes concerning the accessibility of course, not only Pegasus Park, but also the entire zone around the A201, around the area of DHL and Diegem. It depends on the opening of the accesses and exits of the E19. As you maybe know, a couple of years ago, the Flemish government, AWV, already built some new connections into that connection E19 and R0, but they are not operational as we speak. The thing is, they will be taken into, they will be opened. I think in 2022, when the works of AWV on the R22 from the connection HST-spoorlijn up to Vilvoorde will be finished. The moment they finish their works, these connections in the E19 will be opened, and that will be an exit or an access from the R0 up to Pegasus, because it's also planned that the existing connection from the R0 and the R22 in Diegem, inside R0 and also outside 0, will be cut off. We can only cut it off the moment we have this extra connection in the E19. So that's for one part, and I think it's planned, as I said, it will be in, I suppose, in 2022, quite some time from now. That's how you deal with it. And there will be a change of access on the A201 at the Grensstraat. But in the project, in the project of the face over, as I said, from the A201, there will be another exit, another connection to the A201, and that will be at the Hermeslaan. There's now a connection. You have a connection from the R0 up to the Grensstraat, the northern part of the A201. But at that same location, there is also an access up to Brussels, but there is no access outside Brussels. That thing outside Brussels, you have to find it at the Hermeslaan. So it's a bit split up. That's not logic. That's no good. So we are trying within the project of the A201 and the Luchthaventram, we are looking to improve the access of Pegasus Park and all the sites, as for instance Bieseveld and so on, to improve the access of these different zones to the A201. And it will be, for instance, for example, an improvement of access at the location of the Hermeslaan. I'm wondering, I'm not really sure. On our website, you can visit our website anytime. You can search for the different projects, but I'm not quite sure now if there is a clear image of the project that gives you an insight on these accesses. But I think it's better to take your question with us, and maybe it could be possible to clear this question out afterwards, and to the different people who are in this within this webinar. Maybe that's the way we can give you more insight about these different changes concerning accesses and exits.
Okay, we have arrived at the last question. We will send you afterwards the presentation of this online info session and also the recording. We would like to thank you all for your valuable time, and we invite you to also visit our website and to send us an email for the coaching project. Thank you very much and have a nice day.